Hi. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. How's everybody's evening going? Dinner was really good. I wasn't planning on eating so much, but now I overdid it and I'm kind of in a food coma. So apologies if my energy is not all here. I perform a lot. I rarely ever, make speeches. So forgive me if what I have to say isn't all cohesive and strung together, but these are sort of some of the thoughts that I've been thinking about recently. First of all, I want to thank you all so much and the foundation for having me this evening. It's a true honor to be awarded by my community, and I'm humbled to be in all of your presence. A lot of people tell me that my journey is not a very traditional one, that I started to perform poetry by complete fluke in high school. I self-published a little book of poetry in 2014 while I was studying rhetoric and business at the University of Waterloo. While I should have been studying for my exams, I designed, I edited, and created Milk and Honey, which was my first book, from cover to cover in my living room with my best friends around me, while eating way too much instant noodles and having way too much coffee and probably not taking as many showers as I should have. It was sort of obsessive, and I was in love and in lust with the words, and weeks later, suddenly I had constructed this thing that I wanted to share with the world. I chose to self-publish because my professor said, "There is no market for poetry. Haven't you been to a local bookstore recently? All the published poets are dead." And I was like, okay, kind of true. All right, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Rejection after rejection, closed door after closed door, empowered me to then do it myself. On a budget of maybe $8, which was the shipping cost of having the final draft delivered to me so that I could approve it, I sent my book out into the world. And I released it with the hopes that some family and friends might buy it. And today, somehow, with the great force of something that is truly bigger than myself, has allowed it to sell in the millions and has been sitting on the New York Times bestseller list week after week for 3 years straight. Thank you. And I don't tell you this for praise, because to be honest, I don't even know how to accept or handle praise, because I don't even know how all of this happened. But I tell you this because the point I'm trying to make is that it all sounds quite extraordinary or very non-traditional. But I don't buy into that, because I look at my journey through the lens of Sikh culture. And through that lens, my journey is actually very traditional, and there is nothing new about it. All I did was write about the injustice that I have faced, the injustice in my community, what women deal with every single day, the various struggles of marginalized people. It's what I knew, and I wrote about these themes because I had no other choice. And I have this innate desire to always express, to always empathize, overcome, and connect with people. And this act of rebellion, as people like to call it, this act of resistance, for some, these types of acts are revolutionary. But for me, as a Sikh, these acts are just our way of being, a regular way of life that we're born into. From the time that we come into this world, and to the time that we breathe our last breaths and we depart, it is poetry that surrounds us. Hymns are sung at our birth, when we marry, and when we pass. There is line from Sikh scripture and shabads for every important occasion. We are a people that are imbued in music, melody, and rhyme. So it is not so extraordinary at all that I would become so infatuated with this craft. It is actually to be expected. The Sikh way of life started with a man who looked at the society around him and decided something was terribly wrong with the state of things. South Asia in the 1400s was unkind to many, like most of the world, rampant with poverty, with sickness, classism, casteism, patriarchy, sexism. I mean, I could go on and on and on, and we might be here all evening, all week, or maybe all month. But to keep it short, this man, who we know as Guru Nanak, chose to question all of it. He chose to speak up in the face of injustice and refused to remain quiet. And I am the daughter of that spirit, and we are all the sons and daughters of that unapologetic energy. One of my favorite memories was from 9 years ago when I went to my first open mic, and it was happening at a local community center in Malton. It was actually in the basement of the Punjabi Community Health Center. I was maybe in 11th grade, maybe 12th grade, and like for many of you, high school was a really, really rough time. And I don't know what it was that possessed me to go out there and attend that open mic, because it was very unlike me to stand in front of a group of people by my own accord and share my ideas. But I think that day, a divine energy got tired of me sulking around in my bedroom, complaining about how difficult my life was, and decided that I needed to find a better way to spend my time. So I walk in with two of my friends, and the first person we see at this event is one of the organizers, a young woman by the name of Selena Dillon. I knew her from the wonderful world of the internet, and she was this amazing young woman studying at McMaster but pursuing music on the side. And she was the first Sikh Punjabi singer I knew of making music in the diaspora. And very shortly, that room began to fill up with all of this young Sikh talent. And I had never seen or heard of these people before. Men and women from their late teens to mid-20s. Rappers, singers, spoken word artists, musicians, and my mind was absolutely blown. Because I had this idea that our people could only be, doctors, lawyers, engineers. And suddenly, I just see like the coolest and the hippest happening. I mean, I know there's like a lot of doctors, lawyers, engineers out here tonight, and thank you for paving the way, because it is only with your resources that, we can do what we do. But that day forever changed me. So when I got up in front of that mic and I heard my voice reverberate across the room, I was forever changed, and the rest was history, because I had never heard my voice like that before. I was so silenced and so voiceless. And then from that day on, I decided that there was no way that anyone was going to keep me off the stage ever again. And I owe where I am today to that room full of young Sikhs that changed my life, who gathered around me after that event and told me how great I was, even though we all knew that my performance was less than subpar. But that didn't matter to them. They celebrated this little brown girl who had the courage to just show up. And that's how I got deeply involved in community work. I began volunteering and organizing with a youth group called the Sikh Activist Network. And what we did was we would organize local events around issues that were affecting our people back home in Punjab, but also issues that were affecting us here in the GTA, which was, one of those issues was female infanticide. And this organization was started by Amneet Singh, who came up with this concept of the Sikh Activist Network for a university project. But as the Sikh way goes, to think it and to develop it is not enough. One must actually get up and then do something. And so he did. He took this concept, this little paper, this little project. He got together with some friends, one who some of us in this room may know. He's casually just running for prime minister this year. He's this pretty amazing, handsome dude named Jagmeet Singh. I don't know if you know him. And so it was this ragtag group of friends that brought it to life. And this organization opened the doors for young high schoolers and university kids to get involved, gathering from across the GTA, coming from spaces that weren't especially privileged. The work we did on the ground, on the backs of community donations, donations from all of you, created what I call a renaissance of the diasporic Sikh art space. And 10 years later, what is the result of that work? The birth of countless artists, myself being one of them, amongst a sea of others. So if I were to leave my family's home in Brampton and get in my car and I started to drive, every 5 minutes or so, I'd be passing homes of countless artists, painters, writers, photographers, singers, rappers, filmmakers who are busy working away in their bedrooms with little to no resources, except hearts full of determination. Artists who were brave enough to take a chance on themselves because they saw young people before them do it, like I saw Selena do it, like I saw Noise do it. And that right there is our future. It isn't in shiny buildings and opulent spaces or in the fancy clothes we wear, but in the underbelly, in the struggle, in what we like to sweep under the rug and can easily ignore, in the disenfranchised, in the children, in the downtrodden. And it is our duty, all of us here today, to help them rise so we can all lift up together. And it is not enough to fill our own bellies, and it is not enough to fill the families of our bellies. I mean, if we are lucky enough to do that, because so many in this world aren't, well, then we have to take it upon ourselves to then lift our neighbors and then also lift our communities. And it has been the greatest honor of my life to be supported by my peers, and I could not be where I am without the love and support of my people. And it will be the mission of my life, and I hope yours too, to continue to give back to the youth so we can pass down our knowledge, our resources, and our tools to those that need it most. They are our future. Those girls up here and that young gentleman on that screen, they are our future. And we must empower the future to expand, achieve far beyond what we have done, touch higher mountaintops, and make our progress look small in the face of all the greatness that they will accomplish. And so I want to thank you again to all of the organizers and all of the folks who put this amazing, beautiful event together. Thank you for allowing me and so many others here this evening to feel celebrated. I feel honored, and I hope you have an amazing and incredible evening. Thank you so much.